Hello, fellow Oaklanders. It's TheFloorLord, and I wanted to talk to you about the update that dropped for today. Let's go look at the changelog together. So, in this new version 1.86.0, we have a lot of really good quality of life updates. First and foremost, things that are added. They've added a new spotlight that can be found at Illumine Design. Also, they've added the new mini-map that shows cave layers. So we'll take a look at that. Some other things that they've fixed in the game. The box semi-truck now has thicker walls. That means that there's a little bit more of an invisible collision on the outside, but this should help hold items better. The box semi-truck will no longer unweld items when it's flipped over. They've added some weight to the bottom of the boxed semi-truck and changed its center of mass. So we'll take a look at those as well. Loading your property will now create an invisible collision box on the client. This should stop you from falling through the floor alongside items falling through. Still investigating on why this happens. We'll take a look at that. Scaffolding and tall scaffolding will no longer fling around as you drag it. Placing wire placeables will no longer let you go over the limit blindly. It will now prevent you from doing so. Some things that are changed. They've lowered the price of the boxed semi upgrade. Fantastic. The mini-map extra details menu is now hidden by default. Raw Adurite spawn location changed to the magma cave, and we'll go see where that is at. And then they've removed the follower reward ATM. Okay, so here we are at Illumine Design, and in here, if you look to the left, you're going to see this addition, the spotlight, going for $900. Not a bad deal. And let's take this back to the base and see what it looks like. Okay, now that we're back at our base, let's unbox this and see what it looks like. Okay, not bad. Looks like it's a schematic. So if we fill this with, say, different things, looks like it's going to shine a light down. You can toggle the light on and off. Can we change the color of it? Yep, so now it gives kind of a red beam. This is going to come in handy for builders, for competitions and things like that. If they want to create some kind of ambiance, I would say. Like if you get something in here that's, let's say Brick's favorite, some grebe, you can get this like greenish hue kind of a thing. That's really cool. Got that. What if we used it for some boomite? You've got kind of a bluish color. Ooh, we could use some magnetite. Get a kind of purple color in there. Looking very interesting. I wonder if you were to go all the way, if you can get some black in there. I guess black is the absence of light. What if we got some gold in here? Get some golden glows down on here. That looks amazing. That's going to be a lot of fun to play with. I'm really going to enjoy that. Another update that they added into the game has to do with the minimap. Now I'm going to move my screen over just a tiny bit so you can see it better. But this minimap that kind of pops up over here on the right hand side that you can kind of cycle through, they've added to where when you go into the cave system, or say down over in the snow biome, that it will reflect the map area, which is a really fantastic update. You won't be as lost going through the caves because you can kind of see and gain an idea as to... Wait a minute. Why? We're in the cave. Why are we showing the top right now? That's kind of interesting. Maybe that's kind of a buggy kind of an area. See, and we're good right here, but not right here. Huh. So, hopefully the developers can take a look at this and catch some of those things over in the quartz area. But if we start coming down here, for example, and we start hitting the magma cave, we should see it cycle through and change into the lower areas. So we'll just make a quick right turn and get down here into the magma area. Oh, here's another one. It's kind of right at this bar area. You go right underneath it. We're on the surface. And now is when we go into where you're going down into the magma cave. So it's a tiny bit buggy, a little bit weird in some areas, but I'm super excited about seeing these map areas get added into the mini-map. It's going to help a lot of new players understand better where they're going and what to expect. Let's see if it'll change if we go a little bit lower down into the magma cave. And there you go. And it goes a little bit lower. And then it should, yep, and it bounces back. So, yeah, this I think is going to be a really good update addition so that people can know where they're at and what they're doing, and I think it'll help them use the mini map a whole lot more. And the next thing we're going to be looking at is the update to the semi-truck. So let's pull this out. Now the update has to do with the box. It doesn't have to do with the flatbed. So the flatbed does have a couple of the updates to it in regards to the center of gravity, I believe. But what we want to do is we're going to test out how well things are going to hold within this box truck and see if we're going to have spillage. So hang tight while I load this up. Okay, I've got the truck loaded up just with some odds and ends kind of things. Looks kind of full. Let's close up the door and let's try and tip this thing. Okay, not bad. I don't think we had any spillage or anything move while flipping upside down. So that's a good thing. Let's try and tip it over on this wall right here. And everything looks like it's still locked in place while tipping on its side. So it doesn't look like we're going to have any spillage anymore, which is absolutely fantastic. Now let's test another thing. Let's test while the door is open if we're going to run into any issues. Let's tip it over again. And it doesn't look like we lost anything or even had any movement when it came to having the door open. Everything seems to be locked in place. Now, let's give it the ultimate test. I'm up here on the top, and there's a narrow bridge with a steep fall. Now, I'm going to attempt a U-turn. And let's see how things go and how things hold up in the back of the truck. Not a single thing lost. And this is with the door open, so you can still see your stuff if you really want to. That means when using the semi-truck, going for that sweet, sweet sapphire, on your way back, if you make a slip off the ice, it's going to be okay, given that you do have the refined scuba tank. The next improvement that they have added in is in regards to the raw Adurite vein. Now, all of these veins are kind of in here, but there was this one is the mithril, and then we've got some iron and some copper. But the problem that I had seen is when it came to the Adurite, it was along this ceiling right here, and there was really no way of reaching it. There were a very few that would spawn to where you could kind of maneuver along this wall and then kind of try and reach it, but very few and far between. They ended up just redoing the Adurite vein and moving it down here into the magma cave. Now, it's not that far into the magma cave. You blow up the wall here, you go straight through to this next room, and they've added it to the ceiling right here. Very, very good area to put this. It's a whole lot easier to reach. It does bring in that sense of danger and things like that, because those pieces can be lost into the lava. I think this is going to be a really good location for this vein. So thank you for that change in that move, so we can now farm raw Adurite. Okay, the first bug fix that they were talking about is when you're loading in your game, that you're not going to fall through the map. They've added an invisible box so that you don't fall through, your stuff doesn't fall through. So I've got kind of some bulky bases, and we're going to test this out and see if we fall through. Okay. Oh. I hit the floor before I even fell into the basement. So I would assume that this means that any loose items that are just sitting on the floor are no longer going to be falling down into your basement, so you don't have to go run around and try and find things that have fallen through. I have a couple of things down here that have fallen through. Not too many, though. So hopefully that will help. Next on the list of bug fixes is this demon device. it still looks like it has a mind of its own. I am not even touching it right now. But as soon as I start looking at it, it starts wigging out. I'm not touching it yet. Okay. It's moving around a little bit. It's definitely not as bad as what it used to be, which is fantastic. It doesn't really like to lock in place now. It kind of judders around. Now, it does do some weird stuff if you look straight up, but I think that's just because it's trying to get the dimension of like which way you're trying to look at it because of how tall it is. Woo! But do we have issues when it's expanded? See, it's still kind of moving around a little bit. Now, it starts getting weird, but like I said, I think it's because of how tall it is. It's just like trees or anything like that. It starts messing around with, you know, trying to hold on to it. So like this with the grabbiest grabber, it's totally fine. It's just with your hand, it starts getting to a point where it doesn't know which direction you're trying to hold it in at. But it hasn't flung me, which is a good thing. I don't know if it's because it's too tall, too big, or that it's too short. But it does seem to be moving around on its own a little bit on the ground. See, I'm not even touching it. Still a little wonky, but way better than what it was. That thing was a demon device. Well, that's it for this update. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you've noticed anything that was not on the changelog that has been added into the game, be sure to write it down in the comments below. Also, if you haven't already, consider subscribing so that you can get some more content about Oaklands and that you might be able to learn something new. Until then, we'll see you next time.